Dang it. Dang it. Tell you, man, you gotta do things around here to get this thing. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, the YouTube True Crime Tale site, due to the fact of getting knocked off course, off track, and off the river in a canoe, up the boat's end, way down yonder in the forest of the park, and anyways, jeez, what a bad situation. I thought I'd step back into the most notorious murders of the every 50 states, and I was going through where I left off, and damn, it ain't even halfway through. I'm hoping I'll get this finished up with this video because, of course, I got plenty of time. But anyways, we're gonna start off. The last one we did was Gail Brown. Leads us to the Louisiana, the Jennings 8, where 8 women's bodies were found in swamps around Jennings between 2005 and 9. I guess this is probably one of the victims in a jumpsuit. Yeah, one of. I believe, for what I read, and this is only obvious to happen, especially with serial killers. I think all these women were night walkers. You know how that is. You got your... It's got down here telling investigators about rampant misconduct and trafficking inside the jail. Oh, she wasn't a victim, but telling cops info. Suspect that the police were involved with in the deaths and covering them up. Here's another one, covering up. Overall lack of progress. And sometimes that's sad because I believe I did maybe look up that article one time before, and I think it was all night walkers, you know, women that are on the street selling their bodies, Roxanne. And unfortunately, when girls go do this stuff, that's right, they're in the sinister world of the, you know, excuse me, of the night creatures that like to wander around and do nasty things. So I mean, but it's only expected because, right, these women are out all night, don't know who they're getting involved with, and that's just a sad situation. That lives turn out that route in life. Moving on, Maine. This happened in 1970. There's the girl, and her name is Mary Catherine Klinchuk. Oh, that's a weird name. Maine's oldest murder case, 13-year-old Mary witnesses say that they saw her standing next to a maroon car driven by a man in his 30s, August 9th, 1970. She was found dead August 22nd in a barn in Kennebunk. Ooh, Kennebunk. Sounded familiar from another case. A rope around her neck. Of course, the murderer never found. But I wonder what kind of serial killer was roaming that around that time. In a maroon car. Which that damn thing right now could be laid out in a junkyard somewhere. But here's another case like the Maura Murray case. If people seen a maroon car and back then colors were distinctive. I mean, I would say that there was not so many of them unless you picked that color, but an all search for this car should have been conducted like the Maura Murray case. Because I'll tell you, when I had my episode with a pervert and he had a distinctive car, I mean, it was I believe his was a maroon or even red 76 Camaro. Of course, T-tops. And of course, the car one that I highly like had to be tarnished with a vision stuck in my head of a scumbag. Like I say, I was most fortunate to escape that. There was one in Maryland, murder of Carolyn Walusky, also known as Carolyn Wells, made headlines across the world. 14 was the oldest of 7 children. Her bloodied remains were discovered in Baltimore rail yard in 1954 with the name Paul written on her thigh and lipstick. Case also inspired. I never knew this. This is insane. Crybaby with Johnny Depp, which I thought was just... That movie was bizarre. And for Johnny Depp to do something like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, yes, people are starting to think he's bizarre, but I'm about to wonder if this had any, help making his mind get twisted. If he knew about this case and started maybe digging into it, but starring Johnny Depp, Crybaby, and that movie looked like a friggin' comedy to me. I never would have expected in a million years that was inspired by a friggin' murder. So, if I can watch that movie again, I ain't got it on no movies, DVDs or nothing, but I'm going to see if I can find it on YouTube and then see what I can do to put myself into that storyline to see what the hell would make them make a movie like that off a serious crime like this. And of course, Paul has never been caught. I don't know if the investigators back then maybe looked up every Paul, but then again, it could have been a nickname, and how they leave serial killers leave distinctive, their own distinctive signatures is right. Of course, the Lizzie Borden. This one has this famous song of, Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks when she had seen what she had done, gave her mother 41, which was a stepmother. So I don't know why they didn't put stepmother in there, but I gave her mother 40 whacks and the father 41. But anyways, got it backwards. Of course, I know that. I remember watching this movie on TV when I was a kid. I think I was around 6 or 7 years old. And this came up. And the thing that caught me was, oh, this is in Massachusetts. And I was watching that movie, the original one. And it's a pretty damn good movie if you can find it. And I forgot the actress, but I remember seeing her in TV shows and stuff back in the 70s, but this was a very good film. Of course, I went out there to Fall River about a month ago or so going to the other house that she lived in. And I took some pictures of this. But I would love nothing more but to get into this place and spend the night and do some investigating. But yeah, they say her father was one mean bastard. And claims, I believe, that she was raped by her father, and, why she took into a jealousy rage. Of course, she was spoiled. He was rich. And that only explains it, but that is one case that will always remain. Yeah, an intruder, huh? Michigan, the Oakland Child County killer murdered 4 children. Of course, I'm sure here's a book you can read. Also known as the babysitter killer, whose identity is still unknown, of course. To abduct, sexually assault, and kill 4 children. Killer would then clean the kids' clothes and arrange their bodies in a sort of display of the streets of Metro Detroit for investigators to find. Now I'm about to wonder if our man, Bridge Guy, from the Delphi murders, takes into reading stuff like this. So not only he has his own signatures, but right here, clearly, is he a copycat? Yeah, that's right. Probably some idiot that can't do his own thing, finds other things, and looks up. He's gotta be someone that's really into that stuff. Because anybody to, place bodies in strange, demented ways, whether it be in sexual acts, positions, or, naked, half this, and, half clothed, they're looking and reading into something, I believe, and they, to me, are a copycat. And of course, when you got stuff like this roaming around from the past, and you're looking that stuff up, you're gonna get, you will expand your mind. But you come up with stuff like this, that only proves, you're just a sorry sap that likes to copycat. But it's interesting to see these kind of things and how other killers expand from it or just copycat it. And man, and that's how I think you can, find out if a serial killer is a serial killer by looking into old cases. And where did that happen? That happened in, what was that again? Michigan. So that ain't, that is, a good chunk mileage, but it's in the Midwest, like Indiana. Midwest. Minnesota, Mary Shalassis, Scholas, if I'm saying that right. Sorry if I abused, I never seen that name. Was found dead in Springbrook Township in 1974. Might have been the work of a serial killer, of course. Witnesses saw a man in a compact car throw a body in a ditch. Compact car. What sucks about these, and back in the day, this only tells me people did not really know much about vehicles. And of course, now if I see something, and this is why I took a high interest in vehicles too. I even had a book to study vehicle lights to know the exact year, make, model. And that's why I think people should, even today, I'm starting to picture vehicles' lights. And I can tell, like, when police, yes, are coming up behind me at night, because I can tell the shape of the lights. And I do this, man, only because of what happened to me. And I am a big, car buff and like to, study vehicles, is right. But as you can see, though, for the inspiration, something like this, because when you got people say, oh, compact car or SUV, and you're not realizing how many SUVs are made every year, especially back in the day, which your SUVs would be the big Suburbans or Explorers of Ford, or the Jeeps, like the Cherokee. Them are in the, the skyline of SUVs. And your compact cars back then, 74 would be like the Beetle, Volkswagen Bug. Just to give you, but for people not to know what, and can't get detail out of them, and back then they had their own distinctive details too. That's what screws up people and the investigation. But when, you got the case like Moore and Murray, which the only thing now that needs to be investigated in that case to me is the red pickup. There's nothing more you can look into that case, or even that I could look into, that has not already been talked about, said, done, blah. That red pickup was very distinctively witnessized, and they got a good vision of it, but it was not searched properly. And if things like this happen, they could have been searched properly if people had better details of a vehicle. Study your vehicles, people, especially today. A lot of them look the same. Mississippi, Flint Lee was killed and thrown off a bridge, Simpson County. Truck was found riddled with bullet holes. Set fire and pushed down a ravine. He was killed and then thrown off a bridge based on a trail of blood. 3 people, but insufficient evidence led to their release. So it's a cold case, and here we go again. If you got people that could fit into this case, but insufficient evidence, that seems to be a lot that a lot of cases don't get solved because of this BS of insufficient evidence. But you can't argue that, especially in the Delphi murders. Girl found, I'm not even going to say that word, I don't even say that word. Found decapitated, St. Louis, 1983, in case still haunts detectives, of course. Of course, there's her sweater. Jane Doe, don't even have a name, because the head was missing. Then again, what about the fingerprints? It was the body of a sex worker. It was soon discovered that the victim was much younger than they expected, between 8 and 11 years old. Yeah, look at that. They're characterizing someone that ain't right. I mean, body features were probably growing more than an average, 8, 11-year-old. So that sometimes screws up investigations. But then again, where's the fingerprints? At the time, the only decapitation in the U.S. that involved a person that young, according to FBI. Only case, huh? The victim and the killer still remain unidentified. She is simply known as Little Jane Doe in the National Center of Missing. Now that sucks. And to say there's no body pictures all they're going on is this sweater. So for someone not to recognize this sweater, whether a parent, step parent, whatever, that right there leads you to believe that someone didn't really care for this girl. Because, when I do, honestly, man, I watch, due to the times, and due to my experience, I always try to indent in my head if my kids are out somewhere. Like now my kids have been going to the skate park, and they're old enough to do that, but always remember the clothing in case something happens. But they got their phone and they know to call me right away when danger occurs. So, and I'm always one step away. And of course, my reputation through the town of where I live is the reason why I made my reputation, because I want people to realize, right, who's coming if something goes down wrong. But I do always try to remember clothing on kids, what your kids wear last, and blah, 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 when I look at them. And this is sad when someone can't even recognize their own kids' clothing. Because that right there is a distinctive sweater. You don't see sweaters like this no more. But, I mean, I have seen clothing these days being, like, reinvented from the 60s, 70s, 80s. And this one right here, I don't even remember seeing one of these when I was a kid. 83, I would have remembered something like that because of the way it looks. Montana murder of Nels and Ann Anderson, 1924. Of course, 24 was tough times with trying to investigate things, but bludgeoned to death with an axe. They kept in their shop for chopping wood, leaving behind 4 children. There were no signs of struggle, and a couple still had money in their pockets. Their murder remains unsolved. The site of the barber shop, which is a parking lot now, but who knows what happened to have that bad business deal. Or, as you can see, if there was a barber shop here and a building gone, what if there was a dispute that they wanted to have these people sell or get out so they can tear down, and they didn't want to leave? That happens before with my story of Joan Roche in the state park that was built on her land, of her house. I think that story, folks, she didn't want to leave that house. And this stuff like this could be, problems. Make problems. In Nebraska, we got Chadron State Professor Stephen Hataja was found tied to a tree and burned to death. Poof. In Nebraska, suicide. Burned in the 2006, had attempted suicide before, leading some to believe that he took his own life. But how does someone tie himself to a tree? That's ridiculous. There was also no evidence of anyone else at this crime scene. And it's an unsolved case. And with that, I want to say he probably came across somebody that wanted to kill him, and he tried killing himself to get away from this, but they caught up with him. Or he just got in the wrong place at the wrong time, said something. But once again, not a lot of evidence in these cases to go by. Unless you look it up and see if there's anything, but I highly doubt it. Here we go, Tu Pac Shakur. That's right, Tu Pac. I liked him. He was a pretty damn good rapper. And I did a video on this because, of course, I don't even want to say his name. But the one who he was last with, and he survived, yeah. I did a video of an analyst of his face, Mr. Tu Pac. And I can still tell you from to this day, I will put money on it, that the guy that Dipstick says is him is not him. And if you watch my video on that, I think it's Tu Pac Shakur. Yeah, sorry. Shakur. Face analyst. Alive, I believe. Tu Pac Shakur Alive is the video. Check it out. And you'll see the difference, and I point out. But I'm going to stop here. Till the next video, be safe, take care, always beware. That's right, got more to come.